So now we've completed our server-side setup, let's go and deal with this on the client side. And the first thing we'll need to do is install the ASP.NET SignalR package into our client. So let's cd into our client app in a new session in our terminal. And what we want to do here is npm install at ASP.NET / and then SignalR, and then just press return. And I'm getting an inordinate amount of high severity vulnerabilities, which is a recent addition to the warnings I'm getting in the terminal here, and that looks quite concerning. And I'm just going to take a look at npm audit to see what these are. I already know where these are coming from, but just to demonstrate what this is. And there are a lot, but all of them are coming from Lodash, every single one. And all of them are being made use of inside React scripts. Now, React scripts is a build tool, and it will never infect our production application. So, create React app tell us it's nothing to worry about. And a future update for React scripts will no doubt remove this particular warning. But 3,322 is an alarming amount of warnings. So all of these particular warnings have come from this particular advisory 1065. And if we go take a look at what this actually is, then this is prototype pollution inside Lodash, and versions of Lodash before 4.17.12 are vulnerable to this. And they give details about the specific function which allows a malicious user to modify the prototype of an object, etc. And the recommendation is simply to update to 4.17.12. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about security whilst we're talking about SignalR, but if I just do an npm ls and Lodash, just to take a look at where this is being used, and it's probably being used in just about every package that we've installed, and all of them seem to be on 4.17.1. So changing from 4.17.11 to 4.17.12 is not going to be a massive impact in our application. So it would be perfectly fine to do an npm audit fix, and we wouldn't see any problems by doing so. And in fact, just to remove the warnings, I'm just going to do an npm audit fix. Now I've seen it, and we've seen what the reason is, then there's no good reason not to do this. And this goes ahead and fixes all of these, and then if we just run the npm ls Lodash command once again, then we can see that our Lodash versions have been updated to 4.17.14. And because these are just patch updates, this is not going to cause an issue with our particular application. Or it shouldn't do. Now, what we were going to do was configure SignalR in our clients now. And what we'll do is we'll go to our activity store to do this. And what we want to do is we want to create a new observable for our hub connection. And inside here, I'm just going to say observable. And I'm just going to have a reference in this case, which is just going to create an observable that only observes the references, but doesn't try and turn the assigned variable into an observable. And this is going to be called hub connection, which is going to be a type of hub connection. And it doesn't look like we're going to get the auto import here, so I'm just going to import to the hub connection directly, and this is a named import from ASP.NET SignalR. And we'll give it an alternative of null, because we're not always going to have this hub connection available. It's only when the activity details page is loaded we're going to initiate a hub connection. So what I'll do is just below this, so that we can easily see this, I'm just going to create a new action. And I'm going to call it create hub connection. And inside here, we'll say list.hubConnection equals a new hub connection builder, which we get from SignalR. And then we specify the URL that we're using in this case. And I'm just going to hard code this in for now. And it's going to be localhost, HTTP localhost 5000 and chat. And this is what we use to initialize our connection with our chat hub. And inside here, we'll pass it some options. And the option we need is the access token factory. And what this is a string containing the access token, or a promise that resolves to a string containing the access token. And we're going to set this to our token that we've got inside our common store. And this is what we're going to pass to our hub context. And we use this because in our normal API endpoints, we send a par token inside an HTTP header. And because we're now using a different protocol, we are not able to send a par tokens in an HTTP header. And what this is going to do is send a par token as a query string instead. And that's why in our startup class, we're getting our token from the context and request query for the access token. And this is the name of the query string that it's going to be sending up, or the key in this case. And if I go back to the activity store, then what we need to do is set this to be list.rootstore.commonstore.token. And this could possibly be null, so we'll add the exclamation mark as well. And then what we need to do is, or what we can do is we can configure login. And what we'll do is configure logging and set the log level. And we'll set it to information. So we get the maximum amount of information coming back from SignalR, just to make sure things are working okay. And then we'll use the .build to build our connection. Then what we need to do is start our hub connection. So below this one, but still inside our create hub connection action, we'll say list.hubconnection.start. And then we'll use the len. And in here, all we'll do is we'll just add a console.log. And we'll pass in this.hubconnection.state. And because this is possibly null, we'll add the exclamation mark as well. But we'll pass in the state of our hub connection. And we'll also catch the error. And if there's an error, then we'll add a console.log. And we'll just say error establishing connection. And what we'll do is we'll pass in the error here. And I'll just reformat this. And what we also want to do inside the context of this hub connection is tell it what to do when we receive a comment. So what we'll do is we'll say list.hubconnection.on, and this registers a handler that will be invoked when the hub method with the specified method name is invoked. Now what we want to do in here is get the receive comments. So what we'll do is we'll say on receive comment, and spelling is important here because this is going to rely on our chat hub, and specifically this receive comments is what we're going to be invoking at this point in our hub connection. And what we want to do is say the comments that we get back, we'll say this.activity, and our activity could be null, so we'll add the exclamation mark. And our activity won't be null, I should say, when we're connected to our activity details page, because we will have an activity inside there. It's just TypeScript isn't aware of that. And then we'll say activity.comments, which we don't actually have inside our activity interface. So what we'll do is we'll just open up activity.ts, And inside our iActivity interface, we'll add another property for comments. And this is going to be of type iCommentArray. And this means we also need another interface. So I'll just say export interface iComments. And we'll set the ID to type of string, created at will be a date. The body will be a string. The username will be a string. The display name will be a string. And the image will also be a string. Basically exactly the same information that we're sending down in our comment DTO. And our activity is also going to have this array of comments as well. So back in the activity store, we can say activity.comments.push, and then we can push the comment inside there. So this is how we can create our hub connection. And what we'll also add, just for this particular lesson, is we'll add the action to stop the hub connection as well. Because when we leave the activity details page, we're going to want to turn off this connection. So in this particular function, all we'll do is we'll say this.hubconnection.stop, and we need the exclamation mark again, and this will allow us to turn off our hub connection. So what we'll do next is we'll add the functionality to connect this up to our activity details page, and we'll start to look at that next.